Hey, so yeah, it's fairly early right now. It's like 7:20 a.m., which is around the time I normally would wake up around 7 o'clock, something like that. Maybe like 8 o'clock and stuff. But yeah, it's pretty early. I just woke up like 25 minutes ago or whatever. And I'm making this video because I had this video is gonna be more like mostly like a kind of like a dream recall and a analysis of that dream. Um, so that's the main part of what this video is going to be. Hopefully, it's not going to be that long, but yeah, I had a weird dream last night, and well, every dream is weird. This dream we're in is weird, but I had a dream last night, and it was like more like a nightmare, I guess, than a dream. Kind of, it was like a little combination, but more on the nightmare side, I guess. But some people wouldn't really note this as much, but uh, I haven't had a dream that I remembered like almost at all in quite a long while. Like I don't know, man. It's been a while. It's been like probably I wouldn't be surprised if it's close to a year or like at least a half of a year. I would say at least like a half a year before since I've had um a dream that I've like recalled at all, including like a nightmare or anything like that. Or even not even just like the recall per se, but even like realizing or like waking up and then being like, oh yeah, I had a dream last night or something like that. Like I haven't had any like recent recollection of any dreams. Which I don't necessarily have a problem with. It's not something like that I've been seeking to have like any particular like dreams recently. I just found it strange that this kind of broke that recent trend or pattern. And it was an interesting dream in that I think through a lot of it, I was like, I was aware that I was in a dream, like semi lucid, or maybe even more than semi lucid, kind of pretty lucid, I guess. And the fact that I haven't been pursuing any lucid dreams was the strange thing. But what happened at the end is why I probably linked this to the guy Danny Mindley, or Danny on his channel, because it like as soon as it happened and as soon as I got out of the dream, I almost like instantly thought like that reminded me of one thing that he or you, whatever, Danny, you talked about, which was the waking up. The thing about having a physical body or whatever is that you could actually wake up from a dream and leave to that physical body to whatever kind of like a quote unquote escape that dream. Like you could wake up into a physical body, whereas if you were, I guess, purely in the quote unquote either astral plane or as an energy being, whatever you want to say, you wouldn't be able to wake up from that kind of deal, or go to a physical body away from that, I guess. But it like instantly reminded me of that as soon as I woke up. And I don't remember which video exactly that you talked about that or you mentioned that, but I just remembered it right away. I was like, oh yeah, he talked about that. So that's why I probably linked it to you. And more probably one of the main reasons I wanted that I kind of like noted this stream. Like I didn't just instantly say like, oh whatever, and just forgot it. But I don't know. I just found it interesting. But I'm I'm going to mention um here, I'll go to the desktop. I'm going to mention uh that in the dream I started using like the console, and I started using the console, and when I talk about that, I mean basically like exactly like this in a video game sense or whatever. Like um I was let's see. Let's see. You could see it, I think. Yeah. So basically, I was literally opening this at the bottom of the screen that I could type into, and I was typing stuff into it, commands, console commands or whatever, to do certain things like that, or TCL no clip or whatever, like being able to clip through walls and kind of shit like that. Those are like the main ones. Oh yeah, TGM, toggle god mode so you don't take damage and stuff. Um, but in the dream, I wasn't just doing it with like my mind or whatever. I was actually like, for whatever reason, physically limited to typing like basically on my chest for whatever reason. I think like I was like trying to type out the letters in my chest and I was having issues doing that, like getting the right keys or some shit like that. And I was actually being physically like the game wasn't paused, quote unquote, the game or the dream wasn't paused while I had the console open. It was still kind of running, so I was having trouble like physically typing it for whatever reason. But yeah, just wanted to note that a important detail about the dream was the fact that I was like using the console, which made it basically like lucid or kind of, or made it seem extra lucid, I guess. But yeah, basically the dream kind of started, and I was in like some kind of mall or something like that, some kind of mall or movie theater, or some like big, fairly empty like area, but inside some place. And I think like almost right away I had a feeling, or I knew I was like in some kind of dream or a game or something like that. Like it was something weird that I was just like, yeah, I'm in like a dream. Like pretty quickly I knew. Um, and I noticed like the people were off more than I like. Not everybody necessarily I noticed right away, but a few of them were off. So I was like, okay, something's weird here. Like right away, I knew some guy was like a vampire or some bullshit like that, or two people were vampires or something. And then I was like, all right, something's weird here. I have a feeling if I go outside, like something's gonna happen. So, but I went outside like anyway, no, kind of knowing full well that something was gonna happen. And I think like right away, I got like jumped by one of the guys that was like kind of following me or some shit that was a vampire. And then I don't know if they killed me or bit me or some shit like that. And then I don't know, after that, when I like the screen went back from black to whatever, um I don't know if I was a vampire at that point, or if I just kind of like respawned, like I died and I respawned. But then like after that, I think like basically everybody was a vampire, but maybe that was the thing. Like I think that was like the whole theme of the dream was, or kind of the whole kind of theme of that was that, like, I don't know, some weird thing happened or some shit, and like literally every single person in this dream or whatever became a vampire. Like they were like kind of like zombies, but not zombies. Like they were all infected and became vampires, and like that was what the world was like when after everybody had become a vampire. It was just like fucking everything was different, because you know, what do you do once everybody's a vampire? You can't feed off anybody else or some shit like that. So I think they were like all focused on me at that point, because there was no other non-vampires or some shit like that. But also specifically, I knew I was in a dream at that point. And then I said, you know what, fuck this. So I was like, all right, I'm just gonna use the console. Fuck this bullshit. And then I was like, I opened the console like I just showed in the game, like exactly like that, basically, just kind of like typing. And then, but I was like, for whatever reason, typing on my chest. So then I tried a few console commands. But the thing was that I didn't notice until a few minutes ago that I was thinking, I was like, you know what? That might have been what the limitation was, is that I was typing these console commands, but I had to type in a specific command, like with specific words and type. Like I wasn't just thinking like, oh, I want I want to be invincible. I want God mode. I want to be able to clip through walls. And then it just happened. I had to physically type them and then hit enter, and then it had to be like the right command or whatever. And if it wasn't, it didn't work. So maybe that was one of the big limitations in that case. But then some other shit happened. I kept getting like fucked with by these all these vampires, like jump by them and shit. And for whatever reason, the console didn't freeze everything. So I was like actually physically like being interrupted typing this whole time and shit. Kind of. Um, and that was like kind of the big annoyance. But then some other bullshit happened. Basically, some stuff about how the uh why the what was it, why everything, like everybody was a vampire, and like how the world was like really fucking weird when everybody was a vampire, like everything kind of changed, and like something like that. Once everybody's a parasitic creature or some shit, then they have nothing else to do or whatever. Like they had a lack of clear purpose after that point or something like that. Kind of like in these stories where the villain has this weird ambition of like killing everybody or like converting everybody to like one like thing, but then they don't know what to do afterwards because they're like, well, now what? So some shit like that was like that kind of theme. But then something happened. I was fucking around with the console commands, and like some of them worked and stuff like that. And I think they were getting like pissed off that I was able to use the console commands or something like that. But then like near at the very end of the dream, like something happened where some entity or force or something like said to me like some shit. I don't remember what was said, but I knew it wasn't like the rest of the vampires. It was just like some like quote unquote omnipotent force or entity. And then I got like jumped by once again all the vampires and shit. And oh yeah, and then for whatever reason the console commands I'd been using, they just like seemed to stop working or something at that point. And then when I was getting like super pressured by like all the things and everything, and like I felt like a physical discomfort or something like that in my core or chest or some shit like that, like not a nice feeling, I guess, not like torturous, but something like this discomfort, uncomfortable feeling, a presence, I don't know. But at that point, whatever reason, that at that point the command stopped working, and that's what I'm saying, is that maybe the dream, in that dream or whatever, then those limited commands, the console commands, they were actually changed to something else. And that was the main issue, was that I couldn't type them, or I couldn't type the right ones because they had changed or something like that. Instead of, if it wasn't necessarily like console commands, and it was just something like an idea that you manifested, like I am invincible, or I am this, or I'm that, without having to type in like in a limited language something specific, it would have worked still or something like that. But so maybe like the reality changes can change the commands or some shit like that on a whim or something. I don't know. If it notices something's amiss, I don't know. But then at that point where I was like, all right, apparently these things are working, so I want out of here, basically, or so, like something like that. And as soon as it happened, like I woke up, as it often happens with a nightmare, like as soon as it kind of something happened or it comes to a head, or the discomfort went to like a certain threshold, I woke up in my bed. Not like I wasn't like in some nightmares where you wake up like stressed or panting. Like I really wasn't stressed at all when I woke up. Like I was not like gasping for air or felt like sweaty or anything like that. But I woke up because like I knew that whole time that I was in a dream. So when I woke up, I knew I was waking up. But it was just a weird realization when I did wake up, that I was like, oh yeah. Like I remembered like almost right away, like Danny mentioned that that's like one of the great, or one of the things that many, or one of the many advantages of being in a physical body, manifested in a physical body, is that you can wake up into that body or whatever kind of thing. And that's what happened when I woke up. Is I realized, like, right away, I was like, yeah, I woke up out of that dream nightmare into the physical body kind of thing. And it was just, I don't know, that realization was just really interesting. The fact that the dream was like mostly lucid, it felt like, just the kind of overall theme of the dream. I mean, if you want to think about vampires, like energy vampires, and it made sense there in a way. Everybody around me, to an extent, was an energy, or like some kind of vampire sort of thing. And yeah, I guess that's all I wanted to say. And I just wanted to kind of get the dream down as a note or whatever. But you know, might not have been that interesting to anybody listening, but whatever. So yeah, as usual, thanks for listening, thanks for watching, and have a good one.